Hello everyone, Niklsun here, and welcome to Coming Soon Movie News with Niklsun. I'm your host, and on this show we're going to be breaking down all of today's movie news and kind of giving a little bit of background into what it means for the production in general, such as casting decisions, trailer announcements, director announcements, things like that. So, without any further ado, let's get started with today's hot topic. And the first hot topic we've got to talk about today is the brand new Guardians of the Galaxy trailer. I put a link in the description below if you guys haven't watched it yet. I also tweeted it out earlier, so hopefully you guys have seen it. But I'm going to give a little breakdown on what I thought about the trailer. So a couple of things. First off, we get a much better understanding of each character. I especially love the mask that Star-Lord wears at the beginning that can dematerialize. He just pushes a button and it materializes or dematerializes on his face. I thought that was really cool. I love the new roll call that he says. He's like, I'm Peter Quill, but you probably will know me as Star-Lord. The guy goes, what? And he's like, yeah, we got a thief. We got, what does he say? He's like a thief, two thugs. We got an assassin, and we got a maniac. And just the little shots that we get of Rocket, the little shots we get of Groot. There's one shot in particular in the trailer which really showcases what they've been talking about with Groot for a long time, that he's kind of the innocent in this band of misfits, if you will. He's not a nasty individual at all. I believe he's the last of his kind, or he's one of the last of his kind. He's just a very misunderstood character. It's one of the reasons why they did get Vin Diesel to voice him, even though, for those of you who don't know, Groot only has one line, and he says, I am Groot. But it's in the different ways that he says it, which will give the implication of what he's meaning. So he could say it in one way and mean that, not necessarily that he's sad or angry, but he could say, I am Groot, and that could mean, man, I'm really hungry, let's go for some tacos, or just anything. But he'll say, I am Groot. And when you think back, a lot of people don't remember this, but Vin Diesel was the voice of the Iron Giant. And even though he didn't say very much, he was such a well-developed character, and that's one of the reasons why they got Vin Diesel to come in. And so I think that having somebody like that can really elevate this character above and beyond. But it's that scene in the trailer where he's handing the little girl a flower, and it's this giant tree-like creature who is just very innocent at heart. And I really am glad that we are going to see these multi-levels to these characters. We get the first real shot of the villain, Ronan the Accuser, using his hammer. I think it's called the Universe Hammer. It's got a name like that. I'm drawing a blank as to what it is right now. But you get a brief shot of that. You also get what, I don't know if this is maybe one of his powers, or if it's maybe a little flash of the Infinity Gem that they're going to be introducing in this film, which is that purple material. You see Ronan grabbing it. And then what seems to be an energy explosion coming out from it. So I'm not sure if that's just going to be his power, if that's going to be the introduction of the energy, or the Infinity Stone that they're going to be, or the Infinity Gem they're going to be introducing in this movie. We get our first shot at the head of the Nova Corps, played by Glenn Close. She's a little bit more theatrical than I thought she would be with her hair. She kind of looks like she stepped off from the Hunger Games set, but we'll get to that later. But I like the fact that they're hiding a lot of that aspect of the movie. From what I can tell from this trailer, outside of a few quick glimpses here and there, they're not showing us very much. They're showing us segments from certain points in the movie, but it's not all throughout the film. We don't know exactly what the overall storyline is going to be. We know that essentially these guys get brought together and then they're charged with trying to save the universe. Outside of that, we really don't know all that much about it, which is really cool. I love when movies leave a lot to your imagination before you go in, and leave a lot to be desired, unlike Spider-Man 2. But Rocket is just unbelievable. I love it. He's like, oh, well, what the hell? I don't really have that long of a lifespan anyway. It just made me crack up. I love that line. The only thing is, and I'm not saying that he did a bad job, but Bradley Cooper's voice of Rocket is not necessarily what I thought it would be. I'm glad that we finally got to hear him speak. It doesn't come off as Bradley Cooper, which is what I like. But taking that into consideration, I always had this voice in my head, and even from watching some of the animated specials, I always envisioned, if not a very Cockney accent, someone like Christian Slater. I feel he would have brought such a unique voice to this character. Obviously, he doesn't have the name recognition to get more people to come to it. Like out of all the people who are involved in the film, Vin Diesel and Bradley Cooper are probably the most recognizable actors in the entire film. and they're only voices. So I can see kind of politically where they were going with that, but I would have liked to have had someone like Christian Slater or someone with a really kind of rich Cockney accent. That's how I've always envisioned the voice of Rocket. But I'm not disappointed. I personally would have thought they would have gone a different way. But I'm still really excited about the character. I thought like he's got a couple of great little lines in the trailer, especially that moment at the end when they're doing the walk up and he's trying to fix his pants. I thought that was really funny. And then obviously the end shot of Rocket piloting Peter Quill's ship or Star-Lord's ship into battle, I thought that was just awesome. So I am very excited for this movie. Obviously, the job of a trailer is to get people excited. It's rare that trailers don't necessarily do that, so obviously I'm going to be excited about this, but this is Marvel's first swing at the fences. They've never had a property that's been so untested before. And by untested, I mean not a lot of casual moviegoers out there will know what this property is. Unless Marvel really starts hammering out promotions stating that it is from Marvel Studios or this is in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I don't think there's going to be a lot of people out there who know that it's connected with Iron Man and Thor and the Avengers and all those characters. So as it stands right now, love this trailer, love the new footage we got. August 1st cannot get here soon enough. Yeah, I'm just totally sold by this movie. I cannot wait for it. So James Gunn, you've knocked it out of the park. I'm very, very happy. So, I mean, when the movie comes in, I don't know if we're going to get another trailer. We might get one more because this is May. We still got 3 months left. Or 2.5 months left until the release of the movie. We may get one more trailer. I hope it's not going to be an overly spoilerific trailer. But Marvel's always been very good at that. They've never really given too much away in the trailers, which you really do have to commend them on. So, as it stands right now, love the trailer, cannot wait for the movie. And the next topic we have to talk about is, now this could be considered slightly spoilery. So if you don't want to hear about it, continue on to the next part of the video, but this is going to be talking about Jurassic World. Jurassic Park 4 is what most people know it as, but it's being called Jurassic World, and a lot of information has come out actually about the film that may or may not be correct. This is filed under the rumor segment, but a lot of it does, except for one or two little parts about it, a lot of this does seem probable. Some of them seem a little far-fetched, but if they're going in a new way, it does seem like this could potentially fit. So, like I said before, this is going to contain possible spoilers for Jurassic World. So if you want to go in fresh, or you want to at least wait to see if they reveal any of this stuff in the trailer, then I would say to skip ahead. So a couple of things that came out. The park will be fully functional. I've covered a few of these things in the past, but the park will be fully functional, including monorail, rides, shops, shows, etc. It's going to be an amusement park. It's going to be like going to Disneyland, but you're on an island and they're live attractions that you can go and see. One of the rides, actually, this is actually kind of cool, and I don't know how they're going to fit this in, if it's just going to be with herbivores or if it's going to be going around with all the other dinosaurs as well. But there is a ride that's called a gyroscope, and it's essentially, or a gyrosphere, I should say. And essentially, it's basically a giant sphere that you can sit in, and it can roll around, and people can actually ride around in the wild and get up close to the dinosaurs. So I'm assuming that's going to be, you're probably not going to be able to roll right up and bump into one, but that to me is pretty cool. I can't wait to see something like that. But here's the part that can kind of get a little iffy. It says here, in order to draw in more and more people so that the ideas don't get stale, they start crossing dino DNA with both other species of dinosaurs as well as other species of animals on Earth. And naturally, everything goes wrong. So, according to this report, the new main bad dinosaur. So every movie's had the big bad. So the first one had the T-Rex, the second one had the two T-Rexes, the third one had the Spinosaur. So this one here is comprised of a T-Rex, a Velociraptor, a snake, and what's called a cuttlefish. Now, for those of you who don't know what a cuttlefish is, it's basically a fish that lives on the bottom of the seafloor, but it can camouflage itself. It can hide itself in any situation. So essentially what this breaks down to, and here's the description here, it breaks down to that it'll make it smart like a raptor, instant camouflage like the cuttlefish. It'll have the jaws of the snake, so it'll have jaws that can basically dislocate themselves to make them come out more, and it can terrorize like a T-Rex. So I'm assuming that means it's going to be the size of a T-Rex, but it's going to be amazingly intelligent, just like a Velociraptor. It's going to be able to hide itself like the cuttlefish, and it's going to be able to open up its jaws much wider than a dinosaur of its size. So it makes for a very big, terrifying creature if this ends up being true. Now here's the real big iffy part. And this part here, it sounds cool on paper, but it can be so poorly executed if this ends up being true. But it says there will be a lot of dino on dino fighting. So we're going to have big dinosaur fights, and that's going to be mainly due to the fact that because this is a big sort of theme park attraction type deal, Chris Pratt actually plays a character who is somewhat of a trainer. You know how you go, like they have shows with animals at SeaWorld and all that stuff. Essentially, they're replicating that here, but with dinosaurs. And he's been training these other dinosaurs, which are almost considered to be like good guys. You know, it would almost be like a pet of sorts, or an animal who knows that, hey, listen, I know this guy. Like, not, it's really hard to describe. Essentially, they would be viewed as good guys. Let's just go with that. Just suspend disbelief and just go with that. And he'll be training these dinosaurs so that they will kind of try to defend him almost. And some of those dinosaurs are said to be T-Rexes and Velociraptors. So we're gonna have T-Rexes that are sort of good guys, but I mean obviously not. If they wanted to eat a human, they would just eat a human. And same with the Velociraptors. Velociraptors could just band together and attack people. So a lot of this is filed, like, this is all filed under rumor. This is not confirmed. This is not anybody who got a handle on the script or anything. These are reports that are coming out from trusted sources that are potentially involved with the production. So again, we don't know if this is actually true, but if it is, color me intrigued, because this is a vast deviation from what we've got in the other ones, which means that we're not going to get a retread of the same thing that we've already seen. But also on top of that, this can further expand upon where these movies can go. Now, I hope that they don't retread the same type of trilogy where the first one is about the park and all this stuff, and then the second one really deviates from that, and then the third one is just, there's no need to come back. I really hope they don't do that. I hope they have a solid storyline to expand on this new trilogy, because that is their intention. They are trying to create a new trilogy. So it'll still remain to be seen whether or not this is actually legitimate. I'm hoping that it is, because it sounds really cool. It sounds new and unique, and I mean, other people are going to disagree with me, and that's fine. As John Campy at AMC Movie Talk says, all movies are subjective. Just because I like something doesn't mean you should, and vice versa. But this sounds really intriguing, and if they can pull it off, I'm going to be on board. And with someone like Chris Pratt, who we just saw in the Guardians of the Galaxy trailer, he is so charismatic that he can lead people down these paths. He can make them believe that, hey, we're going along with this guy. We like this guy. We want to follow him along. We want to see what kind of journey he goes on or what he's brought onto. And Omar Sy, who people are going to see this weekend as Bishop in the new X-Men Days of Future Past, is a character who is stated to be a very close friend of his, which most likely means that he's another trainer of sorts. So it'll be really cool to see their interplay. The one thing I hope we don't see what we've just seen in the trailer for Transformers, where we see someone like Chris Pratt or Omar Sy or someone else riding a dinosaur. If we see that, I'm out. I mean, I can't suspend my disbelief enough that that dinosaur wouldn't just kind of reach over and grab him and eat him. They didn't have the intelligence level. They're not like any other creature that's on Earth right now. They can't do that stuff, at least from what we know. So that'll just get into silly territory. But as it stands right now, I'm really intrigued by this project. It doesn't come out till next summer, so we've got a little bit of time to wait. I'm assuming we're going to get some footage. They may have a panel at Comic-Con, but if they do, they're not going to release that footage. They're not going to release anything because that's almost a year away. We'll probably get something in November or December, which will be our first footage of this film. And then as the train starts rolling in the new year, we're going to start getting a lot more information as it comes out. But until then, until that time comes, I will keep updating you on any other information that comes out. And also, go in the comments section and talk amongst yourselves about whether or not you feel this is a good idea, what you would change, if you would change anything at all. Just go ahead and start a discussion. All right, so that brings us to Rapid Fire. Now, for those of you who don't know, Rapid Fire is a segment where we're going to be updating on topics that we've already talked about on previous shows. Just a little bit of new information that's come out, or for instance, something that may have dropped but doesn't really have a lot of information about. So, without any further ado, let's get into the first rapid fire segment. So the first rapid fire segment is with Godzilla opening up this weekend to over $93 million domestically. Let that sink in for a minute. This movie in one weekend in North America, so that's in Canada and the United States, made $93 million. That is a huge chunk of change, especially when they were hoping, I think, for about a $60 million opening. And they almost got 50% higher than their expectations, which is insane. But because of this massive opening weekend and the general positive response from this movie, I know that I really liked it. There were certain things that I felt could have worked a little differently. Most of them would have been how slowly they reveal the creature. I hope that they don't go ahead with this in the new one, but they are moving forward with a Godzilla 2. I mean, it was almost a no-brainer. We kind of knew this was coming out, but it's really intriguing because we know that the powers that be behind Godzilla are continuing on with the saga. The only one that is unsure of right now is Gareth Edwards, whether or not he's going to return to direct. And I do hope that he does. My only thing is, don't wait so long to reveal the creature. You've got the initial setup. Still have the anticipation, have that build-up, because it really did work. But when you start doing it over and over and over and over and over again, where every time you start a fight, you cut away to something else, that's not why people went to see that movie. And even then, the human element in the original Godzilla wasn't there enough for people to care about what's happening with everybody else. So I'm getting into my review. You guys can watch my review, which I have on the shows or on the video section. So definitely check that out. But with them going ahead with a sequel, this is very, very exciting news. And I mean, the ball's going to start to get rolled. We're probably going to hear about writers in the next couple of months. We're going to hear if Gareth Edwards is going to be coming back within the next few months. And I'm assuming that if they're getting a movie or a sequel moving along right now, we're probably going to see it. So that they don't have to rush themselves, I would probably say to keep them in the summer, probably 2017. We're probably going to see it in the same summer that we're going to see Justice League, which that would be a really cool summer. Imagine Justice League versus Godzilla. Oh, that would be cool. All right, so let's get on to the next rapid fire segment. And the next rapid fire segment talks about the upcoming Harry Potter spinoff, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. I talked about last week or 2 weeks ago about how Warner Brothers had set a November 18th, 2016 release date for this movie. Well, it now looks as though, and now this is, again, this does not come from the studio, but it looks as though Alfonso Cuarón is in talks to direct. Now, for those of you who don't know, Alfonso Cuarón just recently directed Gravity, which was a stellar film. It was just an unbelievable experience, but Alfonso Cuarón is also the man who directed Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, which most people look at as the turning point in the franchise. That's when it left being a kids' film and became a more mature, adult-themed film that could still be enjoyed by kids. And so this is really fascinating if he does end up signing on. There's got to be something really amazing about this storyline that would have to bring him in, especially after the success of Gravity. He has his pick of the litter right now. He could choose any project that he wants for the most part. And the fact that he would want to return to the Harry Potter series, but it not be Harry Potter at all, just be kind of set at Hogwarts in the same type of universe, that's intriguing. But if this doesn't turn out to be true, we're going to hear about the actual director, I'd say within the next 3 to 6 months, because this movie is just over 2 years away. It's a big production. There's a lot involved, which means that the director himself, if he is going to be controlling the project, he's going to need to get involved, he or she, sorry, is going to need to get involved very early on so they can spearhead the entire aspect of the production. You know, you got pre-production, you got concept development, you got set design, you got costume design. All these things have to be approved by the person who's overseeing the production. Generally, that's the director. Occasionally, it doesn't happen that way. You look at X-Men Origins Wolverine. That movie wasn't in Gavin Hood's hands at all. That was entirely the studio. He always admitted about how he didn't enjoy working on that project. You know, or another one, I just had it on the top of my head, the RoboCop remake. Now, for those of you who haven't seen the new RoboCop, that is a really cool looking movie. It's visually, it's really appealing. It's got a different take on the character and on the storyline, which is really cool. After watching the movie, I was really bummed that they were going PG-13, but after watching the movie, it didn't need to be rated R. It didn't need the swearing. His character was different. The world they lived in was different. So it didn't need that, which I really kind of appreciated that. But Jose Padilla, the director of that movie, went on length in a conversation that ended up getting leaked online with a close friend of his, about how he absolutely hated working with the studio on that film because they wouldn't let him do anything. Nothing was his idea. And they always came and they said, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to get to here, you need to get to there. He was basically a puppet, and they just moved him around. They moved him wherever they needed him to go. And he was not very happy with that. So with Alfonso Cuarón coming on to do this, he would definitely have the utmost creative control, but whether or not he's actually going to find something unique about this project as opposed to something else that he could do, I don't know. And the fact one thing also that Cuarón does not deal with lightly is preset release dates. I mean, you look at Children of Men. Children of Men was pushed back several times to work on the special effects. Gravity was pushed back about a year and a half. Like, it was supposed to come out the November beforehand, and I think it was supposed to come out that summer as well, and they pushed it back to November, and then they said, nope, we need more time on the special effects. They pushed it another year. So with him having an already set in stone release date, I don't know how well he's going to work with that. But if we get more information about this, I will definitely update you guys on it. And the last segment of Rapid Fire is one that I personally am not very happy with, but I know a couple other people aren't. They don't really care. But Sylvester Stallone came out and stated that Expendables 3, which is coming out in August of this year, will be rated PG-13. Now, every other Expendables movie that's come out, and the majority of movies that all the guys that are in these movies have been featured in, have been rated R, usually due to over-the-top violence or swearing or, you know, anything of that sort. And the fact that this one here, and he stated that he says we owe it to the next generation, which I don't know what he means by that. That to me seems that the next generation, I don't really know what he means by that. It's a very weird comment. He did go on to say, though, that they are pushing PG-13 as far as they can. Now, we've heard that before, and personally, I mean, the one thing that's going to change the way that this movie feels is the amount of swearing. Because, and I'm not condoning swearing in films, I just find that in the situations, like in a situational film or a situational story, certain things would be said. Like, the one thing that's always driven me up the wall about 24, the TV show 24, is in the situations that Jack Bauer gets put in and everyone else in that show gets put in, they would not just say the things that they say. They're restricted because they're on television. They can't go that far. And also with the torture segments, as realistic as they got them, or at least visually realistic as they got them, they were really held back on what they could have done. So, I mean, the fact that it is PG-13, hopefully that means that if we got a rating, we're going to get a trailer probably within the next 2 weeks, because we've only got the roll call trailer, which doesn't really give away anything. But I personally don't like it. I don't like the fact that that's not rated R. It's like when they did Live Free or Die Hard as PG-13. I mean, his signature catchphrase was "muffled by a gunshot." Like, I hope that I'm wrong. I hope that the movie doesn't need an R rating. Although the subject matter of the film, the fact that it's all these big 80s nostalgic powerhouse action stars coming together, they're going to be censored. I have a feeling we're going to hear that in the movie. But with Bruce Willis being out and Harrison Ford coming in, there's room to work with. So, I mean, a trailer may change my mind on this, seeing what type of action we're getting, you know, stuff like that. So, because a lot of people don't know that Expendables 2 originally was PG-13. There was a whole controversy that came out about that, and they got so much backlash from people coming out because Chuck Norris apparently demanded that it would be PG-13, and all this stuff came out. They got so much backlash that they went in and re-recorded certain audio and reshot a couple of scenes so that you could see the people swearing. They added in blood squibs digitally into the film after the editing. So, you know, certain things they did to try to appease certain fans. I think that now they've settled on it. They're like, nope, this is PG-13. You got Mel Gibson coming in as a hammy villain. That, to me, looks like he's going to be restricted. So we're going to have to wait until we see some footage and then eventually see the film. But as it stands right now, I'm not overly excited about it being PG-13. But it does allow for a wider audience to go and see the film. So they may have something working here for them. I just feel that this is the wrong property to have done that with. But that's just my opinion. If you guys feel differently, go ahead and put a comment in the comment section, or you know, email me at movienewswithnicholson@gmail.com. You know, we can go back and forth on what we feel is positive, the negatives, all that kind of stuff. So Well, that'll about do it for us here on Coming Soon Movie News with Niklsun. I've been your host. Thank you very much for watching. You guys have been a great audience today. And as you can see down at the bottom, you can go ahead and click that link, and you can visit our website, movienewswithniklsun.ca. In the contents or the comments section on that website, you can actually that goes directly to the email, so you can put in whatever comment or topic you would like to have discussed on Friday's episodes, and have it sent in, have it emailed in, and we can discuss that at that point. Also, don't forget to click subscribe. You can click subscribe down there in the bottom corner, and also don't forget to follow me on Twitter. You can find me on Twitter at Niklsun, Niklsun, to get updates on all your movie-related information. But until next time, this has been Niklsun. You guys have been great, and you enjoy your day. Take care.